You already told me that.
Oh, did I?
Is that normal, or is something happening to my memory? If you've had that moment, or are secretly worried about it, stay with me, because today we're talking about why we repeat ourselves as we age, and when it's completely harmless. But here's something most people don't realise. Repeating yourself can actually be a sign that your brain is working exactly as it should. The stories we repeat are often the ones that shaped us. There are moments that remind us of who we are. So have you noticed yourself repeating stories, questions, or even opinions more than you used to? Hang in there, because most of the time, this is far more normal than people realise. And today, I want to explain why it happens, what your brain is actually doing, and when it might be worth paying attention. Although, if your spouse can quote your stories word for word, that might be a clue. I caught myself doing this not long ago. I was telling someone about something that happened years ago. It was a good story too, I might add. Only to be gently informed, you told me that last week. Oh, now I could blame them for having an excellent memory, but deep down I suspected the evidence against me was pretty strong. But it did make me stop and wonder, is this just part of getting older? Or is my brain trying to send me a message? Now, I spent a lot of time researching how we age, because frankly, I'm walking this road with you. So let's start with the most important thing. Repeating yourself occasionally is not a sign of memory loss. In fact, there are some very normal brain changes that make this more likely as we age. And none of them mean your brain is failing. It just means it's operating a little differently. Think of it less like a computer breaking and more like a library that's been open for decades. Wonderful collection, lots of stories, but sometimes the cataloguing system just takes a little bit longer. So why does it happen? Well, the first reason, your brain prioritizes meaning over detail. Because as we age, the brain becomes incredibly good at holding on to the important parts of experiences, but not always the bookkeeping. So you remember the story, you remember why it mattered. You just don't always remember who told you. Now, this is actually a sign of a brain that values connection and meaning, not a broken one. And a second reason, fewer memory markers. Because when we were younger, life was just full of variety. New jobs, busy households, constant change. Those create strong mental timestamps. But later in life, days can look more similar. And when experiences blend together, well, your brain has fewer markers to say, yes, that was Tuesday and I told Margaret. So the story comes out again, perfectly innocent. And the third reason is because emotional memories, they want to be shared. And here's something many people don't realise. We naturally repeat stories that carry emotional weight. Funny moments, proud memories, family stories. Your brain isn't malfunctioning, it's reinforcing identity. It's saying, this mattered in my life. And there's something deeply human about that. So when should you pay attention? Repeating yourself now and then? That's normal. Repeating the same story multiple times in the same conversation, or forgetting you asked a question, and becoming confused about familiar places. That's when it may be worth mentioning it to a health professional. Not to panic, just to be proactive. Remember, noticing changes is a sign of awareness, not decline. So let's look at some practical strategies. If this is something you've noticed, well, here are a few simple things that can help enormously. So before you start a story, a quick, have I told you this? Now, that works wonders and people appreciate it. Keep your brain socially active because conversation is brain exercise. Isolation is far tougher on memory than aging itself. And sleep actually matters more than you think because many memory slips are actually fatigue in disguise. That's when your brain does its housekeeping while you're sleeping. Miss some sleep, and the filing system, it can get messy. And that happens to the best of us. And stay curious, because learning new things builds fresh neural pathways, new skills, new places, and new hobbies. Your brain loves novelty at any age. Now let me leave you with a thought that might change how you see this entirely. Repeating stories. That often means you'd lived a life worth talking about. A life full of moments, lessons, laughter. And personally, I hope I never run out of stories to tell, even if I tell a few of them more than twice. Now I'm curious, have you ever caught yourself repeating a story? Or has someone lovingly pointed it out? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you enjoy content that explains what's happening as we age, without the fear, make sure you subscribe and share it with a friend or to your social media. Because getting older isn't about losing ourselves, it's about understanding ourselves better. And remember, old age is a privilege not given to all. And I think you'll enjoy this one next. I'm Robbie from Living Life in the Lockyer, Life After 60. Stay curious, stay safe, and be kind to one another. And I'll see you in the next one.